So what I'd like to start by saying that you cannot parent intentionally without being in control of your emotions. It's very important. Like I always say, it's not just for when children will misbehave, for when you need to answer their questions, when you need to behave in their presence, when things happen, you always need to be deliberate. You need to be in control of yourself. You need to be your self-governor. So that you need to be able to pause and ask yourself, what I am about to do, is it what I have been teaching my children? Is it what I've been modeling to them? What I want to model to them? Is it how I want them to react in the face of such an event? Like the mom that reached out this evening, she is always yelling. She sent another message that yes, she's always off the roof yelling, even her husband has given up on her, and she expects her son not to do that. So you need to be able to like pause and say, okay, if I react like this in the face of a similar event, will I'll be happy if my child relates and may react like this. Now, this is why this is very important. To be able to control our emotions is very important. And we have done quite a number of activities that should help us to at least make progress. And like I always say, it's not one day. It's not a one-day affair. Because you are 40, you are 50, you've had this behavior all through. You've been programmed to react in certain ways all through. Now it's not automatic that it will stop. However, when you are consistent, if you are committed to it, you are going to be able to be more calm, be more reasonable. You are going to be able to respond reasonably without your emotions jumping in the way. It is commitment, it's a consistency, you will get there. That is what I want to say. And we've done quite a number of things. We've identified why we yell, where the need to yell come from. We've learned about our early warning signs. It is very important. And this is another thing we can also teach our children. Teach them to understand their early warning signs. When things are happening, they should understand their early warning signs. What are the signs that you may react this way? That's how we can also teach them to be in charge of their emotions. What's the sign that what signs do you feel when you're about to react this way? Some people, they don't even want to get to that point. That is me. I don't even want to get to that point where I start having the signs. I just know that, okay, if I come home or I'm with my children, something happens, I know that the very next thing I want to do is to pause. I want to distract myself. I want to walk away from the scene immediately, first of all, before that's what I want to do. I want to make sure I'm proactive. I don't get to that point where, excuse me, where I have to start even noticing my early warning signs. That is it. So because of that, I already know the things that kind of trigger me. And before I face such event, I'm prepared. This is trigger me. So if I meet this situation that triggers me, what am I going to do? This is how I'm going to do. That's proactivity. So it's very important. We've learned our early warning signs. We've learned about calm down strategy. We have a couple of them. And as I said, you can also create your calm down strategies. We've done all of that. And I remember mentioning mantra. It's very important. Mantra is very, very important. When it kind of checks you all the time. Excuse me, let me admit Indeed. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome. So your mantra kind of checks you all the time. Imagine if you have a mantra that kind of helps you to always want to examine yourself, always wants you to ask, okay, where is this behavior coming from? Is it what they learned from me? If you have a mantra that says, where is this behavior coming from? It actually it helps you to, first of all, self-examine before judging, disciplining, correcting, or anything. You want to know the root cause. So mantras are also very important. And I also talk about childhood baggages, one of the major things that influence our reactivity. Childhood baggages, childhood programming. Because we have all this programming in us, all these baggages, especially, we have not healed from them. Our children's behaviors trigger them. They trigger them. It happens every now and then with parents. That's one of our activities in this group, is for us to look at our childhood baggages, compare them to what the behaviors you actually complain about in your children. You realize that there are baggages you have not healed from. Like one of the things that happens to me, so when my kids shout, like yesterday, my 6-year-old, the brother was telling him something. He had answered the brother. He's quite patient. But yesterday, he was angry, and then he was just shouting. The way the shouting, the way the thing rang in my head, gosh, my head, I was highly triggered, If I wasn't in control, I probably would have reacted. And I was telling myself, yes, it's because growing up all the time, shout here, shout there, shout there. So, and I was helpless. I couldn't do anything about it. That's the truth. Because as a child, you are weak. You can't do anything. So it's only the only thing you can probably do is how high. Jump, you ask how high. You can't say why. You were not allowed to say why. You're not allowed to be heard. You're only saying. So now, when things happen, it's as if your child is now taking the position of those adults that kind of talked you down, that kind of made you not to express yourself. And because you were weak, then you couldn't express yourself. Now that you're no longer weak, you want to express yourself. That's what happened. You're no longer weak. So you want to stand up and express yourself. So your expression comes in the form of, like, you want to react the way your parents reacted. And even not just parents, adults around, situations we face, you want to react in defense. You're, like I said, you're on a defense spree. You're on a self-defense spree. I will not take it, because this time around, people were defending ourselves from our weak. It's easy for us to just go all out with the bullying with the yelling and the smacking and all of that. So we talked about that. And if you begin to look at that, you now realize that, okay, it's my child behavior that is triggering my childhood baggage. It's not necessarily that the child is misbehaving, it's that I have not healed from this thing. So, like I said, one of the easiest ways to heal from childhood baggages is for us to take our mind back to when these things were happening and decide that, okay, let our children take our place in those days, and let us take the place of the adults in our lives in those days and react to our children the way we wish those adults had reacted to us. That way, you are gradually healing from the childhood baggages. We have done all of that. Okay, I have welcome Mrs. Belinda Da Costa. Welcome. She was in Park last 2022. She was in Park and she's here again. Welcome. So what was I saying? Okay, I've gone through the last exercise we had was for us to compare how we're raised compared to how we are raising our children. You know, look at some of the things that trigger us compared to some of the things that triggered our parents, compared them to some of the things that actually trigger us today. That's one of the things we looked at. Welcome. That's one of the things we looked at last week. So, and I've looked at some of us actually responded to the task and submitted. I've looked at them and I was just smiling. Now, if you want to look at them, you realize that a lot of those things are the ones that actually your parents triggered. Whether I want to change the vocabulary, whether I want to say my parents was triggered because I was playful, I'm triggered because my kids are noisy. It's the same thing. It's just different grammar, but it's the same thing. It's from play, they are making noise. You know, if whether you want to say, okay, our parents were triggered because my siblings and I didn't get along some of the times, or you want to say I'm triggered because when my children argue with each other, it's the same thing. So it's the same thing. So we realized that some of those their reactivity actually did not do us well at all. Like I said, I've shared here several times. I shared last year in fact, I shared here again this year that one of the things that worked against me, my dad was the flogging type, he was the yelling type, he was the nagging type. I said he has something they call calabar knock. He would use his knuckle like this to knock the middle of your head like this. It was so painful over everything. He was always, the calabar knock was always on the loose. Every time it was calabar knock. Thank you so much, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am. Every time it was calabar knock. Those were some of the ways he used to discipline us. And my dad being melancholic, you know, melancholic temperament. We also going to treat temperament in this class as we progresses, because temperament is one of the major reasons why we also do the things we do. So we are going to treat temperament as we progresses. So my dad being melancholic, and melancholic people are people who they are perfectionists, so they want everything to be in certain way. You know, and their idea of perfection is what they have in their head. They want things to be in certain way, and they don't really realize that if they're not intentional, they don't realize that to achieve that desired phase or stage or position or perfection state, you actually need to put some structures in place. They don't realize that until they're intentional. So they just expect you to from nowhere become that which they want you to be. However, the smacking did not affect me as much as the comparison, because that was a constant. You know, they will say look for, I don't know, that was a constant factor. It was a constant tool. It was one of their tools, the most recurring tools. Go and see your mates. Even we're going to school, even people that were learning to make dresses, go and see Franca the tailor. She's already sewing clothes for people. Even people that were fetching water, go and see this one. She's fetching water. And we're doing these things. I just don't get it. So that constant comparison actually affected me a great deal. I keep talking about it, affected me a great deal. You know, I've shared about the phases of how it affected me, from low self-esteem to envy to hatred. If it's not the era of social media, maybe I would have, is information age. Maybe if it was the era of information age, maybe I would have known how to react negatively. But unfortunately, we didn't have as much information as children of these days have. So I just internalized everything, and I grew up, and coupled with the fact that I don't have any it was just someone who is wrapped in low self-esteem. Anyway, so we've talked about childhood baggages, and I hope that we have actually learned from that. We've seen how our childhood baggages are coming to affect us. So you actually want to look at those things your parents did that you don't want to pass on to your children. Now, the last exercise we actually did in our last class was for us to deliberately note those things, those experiences you want to give to your children. What are the experiences you want to pass to your children? Note them. Next month, one of the very first things we are going to do is to create our vision board, parenting vision board. It's going to be a vision board party. We are going to create it in such a way that everybody should create it. If you don't create it, it simply means that we're not ready to flow with this class and we're not ready to get results. And like I always say, sorry, my light is gone. Oh, and my generator is off. Sweet team, can you help us? Thank you. Like I always say, okay, and it means you're not ready to take action. And like I always say, I don't want someone who after spending 1 year will not say, that woman, she just collected my money. I paid 2,000 naira every month. I approved my registration. She just collected my money. I beg you, there is nothing. I don't want such a situation. I actually want someone who will take action and who will run with what they are learning so that we are celebrating together. I was talking to a parent, a past mom yesterday. I said, see, I am convinced that there is a way to parent children. I have been researching lately. I've been researching about so many countries that are doing it right, as in not doing it right, like we Nigerians and a lot of African countries, we are always running abroad, Canada, UK, US, and we are complaining about their children, complaining about their system and everything. I've been researching, I'm like, there is something they are doing right. That if we want to be sincere, look at it's not just about our leaders, look at everybody. Everybody has the tendency to be corrupt in Nigeria. Almost everybody, not everybody anyways, most people have the tendency to be corrupt in Nigeria. Most people have the tendency to get power and try to dominate and try to bully and try to take advantage of the people who are weaker. That is just us. It means we are doing something that is not right. So when people are saying abroad children, they don't have manners, I'm like, is manners all there is to be? See, their systems are working. They can hold themselves accountable. A lot of things are working. It simply means that there's something wrong with us, fundamentally wrong with us. Not just Nigeria, a lot of African countries. There's something that is fundamentally wrong with us. So it simply means that we need to begin to look at what they are doing, what is working for them. And we are not going to learn everything, hook, line, and sinker, no. But we are going to look at, okay, what is working for them? Why are they the way they are? Let us begin to do it. My husband and I, we always have one argument that we've not been able to meet. I will tell him that Nigeria is corrupt, that we need to start from individual. He will say if the laws are working, that the law needs to be working. Once the laws are working, everything will be in place. I will tell him that it's individual that we need to work on. Because even if for the laws to work, it's an individual that will make the laws work. The laws will not come from heaven and work for themselves. It's individuals that will make the law work. So I'm not sure why we are not able to agree on that. But that is the truth. Even the law is individuals that will make it work. It's individuals that will enforce the law. Look at laws, for example. To be a president of Nigeria, you have to have what is it called? Primary certificate. What does that mean? It simply means when they were writing that law, it was sentimental. It was to favor them. It was not for the interest of the general public. That is how, anyways, I'm ranting. I'm ranting. So we're not talking about Nigeria or Africa issues, but I'm just trying to say that we need to begin to, on your own, do research about many other countries, how they do their things. I listened to a video yesterday by Indians. I was really amazed how they do their things. I listened to a video yesterday where someone was analyzing the Bible. You know, the Bible is originally from Jews. He was Juice, whatever, pardon me. I struggle to pronounce some things sometimes. He was talking about, you know, when they say what is it called? A wise man leaves inheritance for the children. He said it is practical. It's not just the Bible saying it. In the Jewish culture, when you give birth to a child, the child's grandfather begins to takes an insurance policy for the grandchild. So which simply means that by the time that child is 18, ready to be adult, the grandfather, whether the grandfather is still alive or no more, the grandfather, the policy, you know, imagine 18 years, 18 good years, they are saving money for you. Even if it's 1 naira, what do you think will happen? The money would have amounted to a great deal of wealth, and then plus the interest and everything. So the grandfather, they will not hand the money over to the grandchild. That is originally what it means that what is it called? A wise father leaves inheritance for his children's children. That is where that comes from. That is in the Bible. That is because they have. So imagine, how can they have poverty mentality? How can they be poor? I was telling someone the other day that the reason why, if you look at most of the people that go into Yahoo, they are poor people, really. They have poverty mindsets. Son of very rich people, they don't go into Yahoo because they have seen all this luxury being flaunted on social media, all these fake lives. They have seen they have seen them firsthand, they are experiencing them. So those fake lives don't intimidate them because they have it. But the children of the broke people who do not have contentment, and the parents are broke, they say I'm not teaching their children contentment. They are leaving their children hoping that, children of these days are rude. I see the children of these days are rude by themselves. It's not the system that is, it is when a child is born, according to the great philosopher, is born blank, tabula rasa, empty. They don't know anything. It is from experience, environment that they actually learn everything. So it's simply if the child is rude, it's simply the child is learning. That's my point. If the child is learning. So if we begin to realize that, okay, maybe the previous generations, our parents were always forcing us. That is why children of this, that is why we're always submissive. If we realize that forcing this generation, because there is information everywhere, they pick up the phone and they know how do I get my father, how to rebel, how to do Yahoo and make money to come and surprise my father. This is not my father. This is not because he thinks he's paying my school fees. Let me surprise him, whatever it takes. So we are the one teaching them how to be rude. The system is promoting, is teaching it. Then you will not say they are rude. They are not rude. No, we are the one writing into their blankness, the blank slate they are. So we need to deliberately, really, parents, and do better. So I was talking about we've talked about childhood baggages. I talked about the things we actually want to pass on to our children. What are those experiences we want to pass on to our children? It is important we note them. What are the experiences we want to pass to our children? We don't want them to be bullies. No. And one of the things I always say to parents again is that sometimes we feel, our parents didn't have to train to be to parents. Why are we training? After all, we are aware. I always say, the fact that you got away with a lot of the things you are doing doesn't mean your children will get away with it. No. You can tell a lie to someone and it's fine. Maybe you have a shop you are selling. You can just tell someone that you don't see this market. I bought this 15 naira. I will sell it 100 naira. You get away with it. Your child will learn that tomorrow, may say that tomorrow, and the person will know that your child is lying. Your child will lose $1 million contracts. It's simply because your child is not getting away with it. That is the truth. You may do things, you may be able to use your pen to change figure in the office and get away with it. Your child may not get away with it tomorrow. He will learn it and change his figure in the office, and he's not. He goes in for it. Even fathers said that are doing womanizing. You may decide to carry one woman. After all, men are polygamous. But I don't know where they learned that from. And they are doing everything they are doing. They are getting away with it. The children are seeing them. The children grow up and they do it. And they don't get away with it. What about fathers that drink? Oh, you drink, you feel, you are drunk, you can handle it, you come home, you do all sorts of manners, it's fine. Your wife is, she's permissive, she takes everything. You are getting away with it. Your child tomorrow learns from you. It's okay to drink. He drinks and drives and that ends it. Your child may not get away with it. So you may get away with everything you are doing. Your child may not get away with it. So, even if your child gets away with it, what about your grandchildren? They may not get away with it. Anyway, now this is not what we are talking about. So the last thing I was saying is the last task we did in our last class was life class was for us to note the experiences we want to give our children. It is very important. What experiences do we want to give them in life? Which of the experiences do you want to raise timid children, timidity? No, we don't want that. So what experience do you want to give your children? You want your children to be assertive. That is an experience you want to give them. What experience you want to give your children? You want them to be obedient, obey every single thing. No, I want them to ask questions. That is an experience you want to give them.
If you answer, you are doing like that.
Hello, can you mute yourself? Who? Let me see. Okay, I'll have to mute you, ma'am. Hello, please. I think it's I can't pronounce your name. Are you Ghanaian, ma'am? Uncertain.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you Ghanaian?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh. Because the name is really African. Welcome, ma. Well done, ma. Please, ma'am.
I'm trying to do that. I don't know what my daughter did.
Okay, please. Okay. So, that lost my train of thought. Okay, so I was simply saying that we want to begin to identify the experiences we want to give our children. That is parental division. If you want to raise assertive children, then you know that, okay, that is the experience. Like I said in our last life class, I said, the things you already have in you, the traits you already have in you, you know that you are in a way giving them to your children already because you are modeling them. If you are someone that is very bold, you are fearless, know that you are giving your children that. You're already modeling that to your children. If you are someone that is determined, that doesn't give up, know that you're already giving that to your children, you in a way. So you want to now look at what are your experiences, what are the ones you struggle with. The ones you struggle with, that you know that they are very important. You want to give them to your children. Like I struggle with procrastination, for example. And I don't want to give them to my children because I know that, hey, it can be, it is not a winning strategy. like I talked about, I struggled a great deal with low self-esteem. And I knew that it was not a winning strategy. And I do not want to pass that to my children. Yes. So a lot of things you struggle with, and you know that they are not winning strategies, and you know that you do not want to struggle with you don't want to pass them to your children, then note them down was our last activity. Note them down. Note them down and deliberately begin to pay attention to them. So as we progress in our class, maybe next month we are looking at behavior modification. After behavior modification, then we are looking at skills in our children. So as we begin to look at skills in them, then we are going to look at a lot of the skills we need to actually, a lot of the practical ways we can empower them with skills, with life skills. So this is supposed to be like a recap of last class. Let's go into today. Okay, so let's have one or two persons say something, then we can go into. If you have something to say, please unmute your microphone and drop it. Then we'll go into today's topic. Today we're looking at reframing your thoughts. Another tool in my toolbox of emotion control. Reframing your thoughts. So I need contributions. So unmute your microphone and say something, please. Hello. Should I unmute you so you can say something, ma'am? Okay, say something. Excuse me.
Sorry, ma.
Thank
I
you.
don't know what to say. We are following, ma.
Okay, all right, fine. Let's go. Okay, let me go. So today we are looking at reframing your thoughts. Let me put it here. Reframing your thoughts. Now they say, as a man thinketh. Okay, reframing your thoughts. They say, as a man thinketh, so he is. So the thing is the way we think about certain things that make us to react to those things. And the way we think about those things is a product of how we have been programmed over the years. We have been programmed over the years to see some things that are not necessarily the way they should be. To see some things that are not even negative, to be unreasonable in our judgment to a reasonable extent. So we've been programmed. So that is where we react the way we react to certain things. So now if we begin to realize, okay, these things are not so, then it will help us it will create an open mind in us to help us see things in a different way. So one of the ways you can actually be able to hold yourself and control your emotions is if you learn to think of things differently. Like one of the things my husband will always say that I always give excuses for people. You know, he said I always give excuses for people. And I told him that it is because I've come to realize that things are not always the way they seem. We don't know, you're not in a person's shoes, you don't understand. So somehow we just see the behavior and we conclude. I remember a couple of months ago, I was sending some of my books to Abuja. Then I sent the book through, there's one particular company I always use. No, I was sending the book to, after Abuja, the next state after Abuja. I want them, you know, the state after Abuja is not a very big state. That's where the book was going to. So I told the logistic lady that these books were going there. She said, okay, then, no, not Kaduna. What's the name of this state? Immediately after Abuja, one small state that is not so big, it's quite common. Oh, I don't remember. It's quite common. It's a popular state. People live there and they say they live in Abuja. They say people live in Ogun State. They say they live in Lagos. Ma? Okay.
Nasarawa.
Absolutely. Yes, ma. Nasarawa. Yes, ma. That is the state. So I was sending some books there. So I told the lady that the book was going to Nasarawa, and the woman that was buying the books, she was buying them for her son's birthday. So she said before these books, the teacher, the school owner will have to approve the books before they can pass the book. So the birthday was like, let's say on Thursday. So I needed the books to be there. The birthday was on Monday, so I needed the books to be there at least on Thursday so that she can show them on Friday and have her approval. I said, okay. So I sent them to the lady as early as on Monday. So the lady told me, oh, she said she has sent the book. And she now said she sent the books to Abuja. I said, Abuja, it was not something we agreed. And she said, oh, she didn't know, she forgot. I said, okay. That she was going to send them the following day, which was Tuesday. So I was still optimistic that by Thursday, the woman would not get the books. So on Wednesday, I was calling her, she wasn't taking my call. On Thursday, I called her, oh, she wasn't taking my calls. And the books were quite many. So I just decided that I had already decided to return the woman's money. I just told myself, if by Thursday evening I call her and she has not seen the books, then I'll just return her money back to her so that I will apologize and return the money. That was my conclusion. Until that Thursday night, she now called me that she just went to pick the books from the park. And this woman, her number was not going. Her number was going, it was ringing, she was not picking. So me, I just concluded that maybe she had not even sent the book from Lagos. She has not even sent the book because I told her, Nasarawa, I wrote it on the book. Why would she not say she thought? So she has not sent the book. I concluded. It was, I think the following time I was sending the book, my husband went there to help me send the books. Then I told him that day I was calling this woman bumper to bumper on a Wednesday. She was in labor room giving birth. So I did not even know she was pregnant because it's either I send my bike rider or my husband is going there when he goes for me. I did not even know that she was pregnant, let alone she was in labor room. So just imagine I was just in my end, boiling, concluding, not knowing that she was between life and death. Now, this is what happens all the time to us. We have been programmed to see things from a certain way. So because of that, when things happen, we are reactive. We don't wait. So, but if we learn to actually understand what is really going on, if we have programmed ourselves to learn to ask what is going on, then it will be easy for us to control our emotions. I shared on Facebook the other time about how misbehaviors are not an emergency. And someone was arguing with me that imagine a child using a foul word on another child is an emergency. I said, how is that an emergency, Kwanu? How is that an emergency? If you see two children, one is calling the other one stupid, it is not an emergency. You don't even have to force one child to apologize. Because if you are forcing a child to apologize, the child is apologizing because it's force induced. The child is not remorseful. Repentance starts from reflection. You reflect over what you have done, you acknowledge it, then you repent. So if you're forcing a child to apologize, the child is not remorseful. You just apologize because you asked me to apologize. That is why I'm doing it. So I said, you don't even need to tell a child to apologize. You can pull the child away from there gently. The way the child is calm, you ask the child, what happened? Because it could be for 1,000,001 reasons. It could be that the child is verbally bullying the other child. It could be that the child is the younger child is actually bullying him and is feeling helpless. The only way he can defend himself is to use an insultive language. So it happens a lot. I can't beat you, so I can insult you. It could be that. It could be that the child just learned the word and the child doesn't even know that the word is hurtful, and the child is carelessly using it. It could be that the child is just teasing, So it is when you now understand, okay, this is what is going on. You are now able to actually empower the child. If someone is bullying the child, you can now say, okay, like we're talking about family values. We have when you are being bullied, what does our family value say about being bullied? Our family value says we are bold, we are this, we are assertive, we don't use insultive words, we do this, okay, fine. So what are you supposed to do in that case? You let the child know. Okay, if someone tells you this kind of words, how will you feel? You now have the child reflect on what he has done. Then, before you will not tell the child, okay, what do you think you should do now? You use those words on your friend. It's not proper. What do you think is the next thing to do? And the child is the one that will tell you to go and apologize. That way, the child is understanding why he is apologizing. And the child goes to apologize. Not forcing the child, oh, the guy and I were just arguing up and off. I just said, okay, you know what? I have a friend who has a project, who has a ministry, and he calls it One Soul Project. He says that he's not out to win everybody. If he goes somewhere to preach and one person gets converted, that's the person who was sent to for that day. So One Soul Project. So I just told myself, I hope somebody learns and not everybody. Sorry. Isn't it possible to over-understand for Apple? You are hot. Sorry, Omolabaka, I didn't quite get your question. Please help me explain better. Okay, so we are talking about reframing our thoughts again. That's what we are talking about. And I said one of the reasons we react spontaneously all the time is because we have been programmed to see certain behaviors as misbehaviors. But if we begin to, because as a man thinketh, so he acts. You see those behaviors as misbehaviors, you are likely going to react to them as misbehaviors. And because we have been programmed to see misbehaviors as emergency, you are likely going to react quick. But if you are able to now realize that this one is not even about pause and breathing. This is not about understanding your triggers. This is not about that. This is about understanding that not every time a child does something, the child is misbehaving. No. There are so many factors responsible for why a child does the things he does. Then we have a course here. 17 ways to discipline a child without flogging. So it will be helpful for you to understand why your child, because I cannot possibly exhaust everything here. So it is going to be helpful. By the time you go through that course, the video course and an ebook, the ebook is fine. You can take the ebook and run with it. By the time you are able to understand why your child does some things, then it becomes easy for you to say, okay, my child is not misbehaving. There is no way to be dramatic. So many reasons are responsible for why children do the things they do. Like here, I shared on Facebook today how I sent my children to bring shopping bag from the car. They spent I was ready to cook. They spent quite some time, and then they were honking. So I got there and I realized that the boot was central locked. And I had never told them that. I just open it. Even if I unlock it, I don't central lock it. So it's easy for them to open, even when they have to use the keys, easy. But because I central locked it, they didn't know where the button was, because I've not done that before. So they were not troubleshooting, because we have always told them that you don't, even in my school children, I always tell them that you don't give up. You don't try and give up. You try first time, try second time, try again. When you now realize there's no way for you to you are really stuck, you can't make a headway, then you look for help. What matters is you are solving what you want to solve. So even looking for help is a show of determination, because you don't want to give up. So you're asking for help. So I teach them that. So when they got there and the trunk was the boot of the car was locked and they couldn't get my goods and my bags out of the car, they were troubleshooting, looking for how to unlock the car. Now in the boot, imagine if I didn't know that not every time a child misbehaves, not every time a child behaves that he misbehaves, I would have concluded, these children, they are playing in the car. That's why they are delaying. And that excuse me, now they are honking. It's obviously they are playing. That's what I would have thought, and I would have gone there ranting and raving. And for very many parents, when they have reached that level of ranting and raving, there is nothing. They don't want to admit their faults again. They don't even want to calm down. Even when they now realize, okay, oh, my child is right, I'm wrong, they don't want to bring themselves to apologize, because they'll feel embarrassed. For very many parents. So if you're one of those parents that feel embarrassed, then the best bet for you is to always pause and understand why your child does. Okay, so welcome everyone again. Welcome. So I'm still recording on WhatsApp. If you miss anything, you can actually use the WhatsApp to catch up. Sorry, I have a bit of cold, so I was saying that's the thing. So when we begin to see our children's every behavior, there's a bit as misbehaviors, then it becomes difficult for us to not just see them as misbehaviors. We also have been programmed to react to see misbehaviors as emergency. Something happens, we have to. I always say, except when I teach my children in school, we teach them excuse me, we teach them to interrupt. I tell them that except there's an emergency, and it simply means that if a house is burning, something is catching fire, that is an emergency. That's when you go and interrupt your parents when they are talking, or adults when they are talking. So misbehaviors, we can always, because you need to correct them. Remember, you have vision. You have a vision. Now, this is why it's important. We have a vision. We are not just parenting because everyone is parenting. Sorry, someone is in the waiting room and I can't see the person. Oh, sorry, please. Waiting room participant. Sorry. Are you in the waiting room? Okay, we are here. You're in. Okay. So we have a vision. We're not just parenting because everyone is parenting. We're not talking about intentional parenting because everyone is parenting. You're not just in this group because you like her face or because that is what everyone is doing. No, because you actually want to empower yourself more to do things more differently. So you have a vision. You have where we are going. We are going to draw a vision board next month, and we are going to begin to deliberately. I would have said, okay, we should draw it in March so that we can talk about behavior modification in February. They will draw the vision board in March, but I want also begin to see our vision and begin to know that we have a place we are going to. We have a destination. That is why we are doing what we are doing. Sorry, let me admit. So even if you're not going to talk about skills for our children next month, we're talking about behavior modification. We are going to draw a vision board. We have a place we are going. So many times, see, yesterday I was talking to someone on a park mom. I was telling her that, do you know that many times we do things, we are actually like countering our plan, our expectations, because we have an expectation. You want your child to be bold, assertive, to be, how do I call it? To be winning, to win in future. We have that expectation, we have that dream. But a lot of the things we do are against that. Why? Because we're not able to pause and think of our actions before we act. I was telling her, I said, one of the things we always do is we always correct our children. Oh, we always correct our children. That is one of the things I am deliberately. When you correct your children, and want to raise independent children, yet you're always correcting your children. When you talk about raising independent children, it's not just about giving children chores. You come and someone said, my child can tap palm wine at the age of 2. It is not about giving your children chores. That is not all there is to raising independent children. Hell no. To raise independent children, excuse me. To raise independent children, we have to lead them to actually be independent, as in do things on their own. Not always telling them what to do, how to do it. No, let them do it on their own. Let them fail from doing it. Let them learn from their mistake. For very many people, especially children, people of strong will, they learn best. They learn best from experiences. There are people that if they haven't experienced it themselves, they will not learn. You know, when we talk about temperament, I always say the choleric temperament. Like last year, I always gave this illustration in Park 2022. I always told them that one of the characters in the Bible, Apostle Paul, I believe that he was choleric. That was why when God wanted to convert him, God did not just like do anything. God had him experience by himself. When he experienced God for himself, he now knew that, this is true. There were some people that, you know, doubting Thomas. He wanted to experience, some people, they need that experience to be able to learn. Once they have experienced it, then they know better. So, but for a lot of parents, we want our children to be independent, yet we take that experience from them. And one of the reasons we take that experience away from them is because we are not able to pause and then realize that this particular situation, we empower my child to be independent. I want to raise an independent child. This situation will empower my child to be independent. So let him go and learn. If he fails at it, what happens? What's the worst that can happen if he fails at it? He will learn from it. That's the worst that can happen. He learn to do better. So we need to be able to pause and look at our children's behaviors from different angles. If you look at it from different angles, we will know that they are not always misbehaving. We have a book here, like I've shared it before, 17 ways to discipline children. I'm trying to share my slide now. 17 ways to discipline children without yelling. So if you look at that book, you will realize that you will see a lot of behaviors our children actually put forth, and they are not really misbehaviors. So you want to look at it. I've shared it here. I will share it again. You want to look at it and make sure you understand every part of it, and then we'll come back here and look at them together. Then you look at another thing you want to do. Okay, we are going to the task now. When you look at that, sorry, what's happening? Sorry, I was trying to share my slide and it just went, I think. Please, have you been hearing me? Whoa, this is so bad. I didn't even know. Can you imagine? I just hope that I was able to record my voice so that in the WhatsApp class, in the live class, I have noted the two notes you did not hear me. So you can just go there and listen to only those two notes, please. I said this and this because what I just said was very important. Please, you note them. Please note them, please. Okay, Paul, please, Mrs., please note them. Please, it's important you note them. And then you listen to them. Okay. So I was saying that, okay, the negative behavior, you want to note the behavior, the negative thoughts. Let's say you have a child who who wants to, okay, something that quite common. I put it on Facebook some time ago, and parents are asking for my head. Who wants to do things his way? Sometimes maybe you say, okay, wear this cloth, and the child says, no, I don't want to wear this cloth. This is the cloth I want to wear. And you feel it's an offense. The child is misbehaving. The child is wants to dictate to you. You want to look at it from another angle. If it simply means that this child is strong-willed, it simply means that this child, friends may not be able to easily persuade him or easily dissuade him from your values, from what you have taught him. That is what it means. So you want to look at it that, okay, my child is, the behavior is, she's challenging my authority. She doesn't want to wear the cloth I asked her to wear. Then that's the behavior. The behavior, she doesn't want to wear the cloth I want her to wear. The thought is she's being disobedient. She's challenging my authority. Then you want to look at the other side. It simply means that your child is strong-willed. It simply means that your child may not easily give into bullying. It simply means that your child may not easily give into peer pressure. You want to look at the behavior from the other side. Let's give another example. You ask your child to do something, and your child does it, doesn't do it the way you want him to do it. You're angry. You want to believe that, oh, because he wants to go and play, that is why. You actually want to look at it from another angle. What if he doesn't really know how to do it well. He didn't do it well because he doesn't know how to do it well. What if that is the case? You want to look at it from that angle. So that when you look at it from that angle, sorry, I'm trying to admit someone from the waiting room. So what if he doesn't know how to do it well? That's why he's delaying. He didn't do it well. He doesn't have the skill to do it well. So you want to look at it from the other angle. Like a parent here, she said something the other day. Something happened and she expected her son to be remorseful. And her son was playing with his phone and she was not happy about it. And I told her, something that happened, it is your child, it may be that your son also is trying to cope, trying to understand, oh, why did I get myself in this thing? And he was looking for a way to distract himself. And the only way he could think of distracting himself was to listen to funny jokes on phone, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Reels. That was the only way. So we want to see that, okay, not every behavior is a misbehavior. You cannot tell that the child was not remorseful. Because you saw him pressing his phone does not mean that he doesn't even care about what he has done. No. It may be that he cares so much, the thing was hurting him, he needed to distract himself, so he went to get his phone to distract himself. That may be it. So you want to look at the behavior from another side. Now, our last worksheet, I hope it's our last worksheet. I think so. Yes. Our last worksheet is for us to look at, like I said earlier on, look at the experiences we want to give our children. That is our last worksheet. Because if you have a vision for your child, you need to be able to prepare yourself to get to that vision. You need to walk the path that will take you towards that goal. It's like you have a vision, the big picture. Everybody wants, we all want our children to be great, to do well in life. Yesterday, I was discussing with a parent, and she was saying she saw my post on Elon Musk and what the mom did and all of that. She said, my parents were never so involved. Like, if you want to look at Elon Musk's mom, you realize that she was not really so involved. She just left the parent because they are successful. So, want to look at the things she actually did. But if they were not successful, probably would have called her a neglective parent, because she said she was not involved. She did not scold them, which simply means that if she was involved to have noticed some of the things they did, or some of the times they misbehaved, she would have scolded them, because she said, I never scolded them. So it simply means that she was never there. So she did not notice the times they misbehaved. So she said she never helped them with schoolwork. Excuse me. It simply means that she was almost never there to help them with school. It's not just about wanting to be independent, wanting them to be independent. Maybe her work, like you said, she was working. She doesn't regret working that much because she needed to put food and all of that on the table and clothes on their back and a roof on their head. So because of that, she was always working. So if you want to look at the fact that work was always taking her away, we want to be tempted to call her, she was a bit neglective in her duty. So a friend was telling me that my parents were like that, so they never had time for us. We're just doing our thing ourselves, doing everywhere. So how come I did not now become Elon Musk, going back lessons from how she raised them? We laughed. I said a lot of factors. Environment is one of them. Giving the son dual citizenship is another one of them. We're going to talk about this one when we start talking about when we start looking at Forbes list of successful people, and we want to learn from them. We're going to break all these things down into everyday things, practicable ways we can actually raise our children. And then another thing is, one of the things that happens in this part of the world is parents, apart from always correcting, they're always demoralizing. They don't correct, they demoralize, they don't discipline, they punish. They don't build, they destroy with their mouth all the time. So that was one of the things that actually happened to us, to you. Even if your parents were not, like, if I want to look at it, to my parents go to work and come back, I don't remember checking homework and all of that. You know, I would say a bit of independence. Yes, we had it going on. But what happened? That constant, like she said, she never scolded them, which simply means that negative thoughts, that negative talks from someone you're supposed to trust was never there. No one was ever there to compare them. No one was ever there to demoralize them. So they had this from the fact that they were independent, and the fact that no one ever told them, made them, programmed them to see themselves as not good enough. They always had the confidence to believe that they were good enough. And that was one of the reasons why they thrived. That's why I told him, I said that was one of the reasons they thrived. The last worksheet is for us to look at those things our children do that trigger us. Those behaviors we say are misbehaviors. That's the last exercise. Look at those behaviors you say are misbehaviors, and then look at your goal, the experience you want to give your child. Those behaviors you say are misbehaviors, look at them on one side. Then look at the goals, your experience, the experience you want to give your child, your goal for parenting your child at the end of the day. So look at it. Now, remember when you see those things you say trigger you, you now realize, okay, this is not misbehaviors after all. Then you now look at your goal, what you want to give your child. Then you will know to balance it. Remember, no yell exercise or emotional control exercise is not going to stop your children from being children, from doing what you are doing. It's not going to stop your sanguine child from jumping all over the place, for doing as if he doesn't care. It's not going to stop your choleric child from coming to want to like have his way. It's not going to stop your melancholic child from annoying you with their standards of phlegmatic child for being draggy. No, it is actually going to help you be in charge of yourself, be able to take charge. I always tell my children that anything that controls you is your hero, and you are supposed to be the hero. So you are the hero, things around you are villains. So anything that is able to control you is your hero. So if your emotions are able to control you, is your hero, is in charge of you. If you see a piece of your friend's item and you are not able to say, no, it's not mine, I'm not going to take it, you go forward to take it, that thing is your hero. That is the one controlling you. And if you know you don't want things to control you, then you need to learn how to be in charge of yourself. So this brings us to, sorry, excuse me, my nose is killing me. Now this brings us to the end of today's class. Should I open the class for you to